Hey everybody, John Swift. You wonder why I'm looking at the camera, like when I start, and I have to wait till when I push the record button, it doesn't automatically instantaneously turn on. So I'm always watching the little numbers at the bottom, and my eyesight is for shit. So I can't see exactly down here at the bottom when it's rolling. So I'm sitting there like squinting, trying to figure out if the video is rolling. Anyway. So if that's why you wonder why I'm standing there like, because I don't want it to clip off the first part of what I'm trying to say. Anyway, downtown here, beautiful part of Sarasota, a lot of huge expensive condos everywhere, some beautiful, what do you call that, foliage and some trees. They got some really, they just recently redid this little square thing where it used to be really plain and they put all these nice trees in and stuff. My hat just fell off. And it's super windy too. I don't know if you can hear it. Sometimes the microphone picks it up and sometimes it doesn't, depending on which way the wind's blowing. And I know it sucks because it's like, hey, there's a package at this door up here. I always find that funny that people deliver packages. This is some kind of business. Package just sitting there. It smells like pot. Smells like weed. Big package sitting there, and the building probably isn't open. This is a Sunday, so it's not open till Monday. Hey, looks like it almost looks like I color coordinated my hat and my shirt, doesn't it? Got the red going on there. Anyway, a lot of people actually down here on a Sunday. There's not that much to do, but it is a nice day outside. Besides the gusting wind, I'm trying to find a spot where I can walk down where it's like not super windy, but unfortunately it is. Maybe if I keep my hand like kind of over the microphone, it'll keep it from doing that. Anyway, despite all that fun stuff, it's still been on my mind a lot recently. There's some people walking up behind me, I think. Yep. Despite all the stuff that's been going on with the Derek Chauvin trial and all that stuff, if you've kind of kept, I don't know if you've kind of kept up on that stuff, but it personally gets under my skin, the fact that the police are instantly filmed whenever they have an altercation, whether it's somebody gets hurt or gets shot or gets tased. We hold them under a microscope, or when I say we, I mean that that lady didn't stop where it says yield. She's just flying through here. See that sign that says yield? And then there's a sign here that says yield to pedestrians, and she just like didn't even slow down. See that sign that says yield right there? Let's see if this car yields at all. Yeah, see, he's slowing down. I wish I had filmed that. That last car just like flew through here. I was getting ready to cross the street and I'm pointing at the yield sign, which she just apparently doesn't give a fuck, because some people, that's the way they are. Anyway, so yeah, so my thing today was I need to find a non-windy place. Where is a non-windy place? We're downtown by the water. The water's probably about a couple thousand yards that way, this way. You can see where I'm pointing. And so the police, if the police does something wrong, they're wearing, a lot of times they're wearing a body cam. If they're in a big city, you know, a more big city, you instantly see what they've done wrong. So if you're a police officer, you live with the fear of, if I do something wrong, they're gonna release this video, which I guess is public domain or whatever you call it, public record, which I think they should really change this. This is the one thing I have an issue with, is that if a police officer, you know, shoots somebody and or kills somebody or hurts somebody, that they instantly, the freaking TV stations flash it on TV, especially if they've shot a black person. If they shot a white person, nobody gives two fucks. But if they shot a black person or a person of color or whatever you want to call it, they instantly put it on TV, and then you get tried in the court of public, what is that, in the public court, you know. Just like the George Floyd case. We've been watching the George Floyd thing for probably over a year now, right? And what do they show on TV, okay? They show the police officer with his knee on the neck, and they keep repeating over and over. 9 minutes and 29 seconds. It's almost like they're force feeding you this brainwashing. If you watch the news a lot, even if you don't watch the news, you keep hearing it. If you're listening to the radio, if you're listening to Google, do you listen to Google? I don't really listen to Google, but, well, I mean, if you go onto Google, they have all those news stories at the bottom, you know, when you go to Google search, and it, you know, it's something about the George Floyd, and they're just cramming it down your throat. It's like, it's almost, if you want to flip on the TV and watch the weather, you have to go through COVID news and then the Derek Chauvin trial. If you don't know who I'm talking about, you know, Derek Chauvin is the police officer, and George Floyd is the guy that lost his life, unfortunately. There's a little a little dog sitting on the sidewalk right there. A little dog, a little stuffed dog. If anybody knows what that is, never mind. I know it's one of those TV shows, the little firefighter dog. Anyway, the court of public opinion. We've been seeing, if you watch the news every day, you'll just constantly see the same footage. You'll see George Floyd on the ground with the guy's knee on his neck, and then they'll keep repeating. I mean, notice if you watch the news now, keep noticing that they keep saying, and the officer had his knee on his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. It's just been repeated thousands and thousands of times. Apparently a big lunch crowd on Sunday here at the, what's this place called? I don't know. Fish Camp. I think it's Owen's Fish Camp. Busy today on a Sunday. Anyway, that's the thing that irks me, is the media is force feeding us this constant narrative that you know, Derek Chauvin is accused of killing George Floyd. They show you the video, then they keep mentioning the 9 minutes 29 seconds, which I don't think is accurate personally. I think there was times where he didn't have, they showed in court actually that he didn't have his knee at certain points of the video that the police cam showed. He didn't have his knee on his neck the whole time. It was partly on his shoulder, but that's besides the point. The guy lost his life, and there needs to be justice for real. Well, you can't just let people do that. And, you know, it's not in my hands. It's, you know, the jury has to make a decision. And of course the world's going to explode if there's any chance of him getting off. Of course they're going to burn down Minneapolis, but that's besides the point. Let's not focus on that so much. I wanted to go back to the part about police officers in general. Just if you're just a police officer anywhere and you have body cams or you're videotaped, people are just dying to put you on the news or on Facebook or Instagram or something, doing something wrong. Where the culture is that cancel culture, where we want to attack police officers regardless of what they're doing. If it looks like they're doing something wrong, we want to smear them instantly, regardless if they've been cleared of the thing or of the incident, if they have not been cleared of the incident. I might sit down here in a little spot where there's no wind. Because every time I walk out where there's an open area, the wind starts blowing again, and I don't want to ruin all the audio. I'm looking for like a little stupefier over here. A little back area. Maybe we could sit over here. Maybe I can catch my breath. I like walking and talking. If any of you guys like smoke or anything, do you or talk on the phone? Do you like to walk and talk on the phone? So maybe I can get my point across a little bit better. Is the sun shining right there? Yeah, sure it is. Sun's shining right through. So the main point I was trying to make, which I haven't been able to make, is that the police officers are judged in the public eye before they even get a chance to have a trial, because for thousands of times, just like this lady who shot this female police officer that shot the guy that was trying to get into his car, and maybe she thought he was reaching for a gun, and she thought she was tasing him, but she shot him. You know, it's not for me to judge I think we all have an opinion of what happened, but it's not for me to judge what was going on, because there's so many other outlying factors that we don't see in the video, that they keep showing the video from the time. There's a squirrel yelling at me right up here. So I'm getting canceled by a squirrel. Why do squirrels do that? They just like tick 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 tick. They stare at you and just go tick 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 tick. Anyway, yeah, the video you keep seeing is the main point, is the main part where the male police officer is trying to put the guy in cuffs. Then he goes inside the car. She says, taser, taser, taser. How many times are we going to be force-fed that video, which seems very incriminating? She meant to tase him. She shot him and killed him. And I almost think that in the majority of us, we're thinking, well, she killed the guy. Maybe she didn't try to kill the guy, but she just killed him. And should she go to jail for that? Should she, sit in jail for 20 years for shooting a unarmed, guy? And this is the point I want to make, is, for like the fifth time, is imagine you work at Walmart, okay? And I'm just picking this random. Walmart, Target, any of those big box stores. They have cameras everywhere, right? They have cameras like literally every inch of the store. So you work at Walmart, and let's say a customer has an issue, and maybe they get belligerent, with you, and you have to confront that customer. Like I said, it's just a theoretical thing, and it makes you look like maybe you were being aggressive with the customer. So maybe you had to ask the customer to leave or call a manager, and then the manager has to deal with somebody. And they released the video to the media, okay, which is not public property, I don't believe. That would be a private thing. But let's say, you get in an altercation that makes you look guilty, and then it goes immediately on the news the next day. So you immediately get charged in the public eye, because they're showing the incident where it makes you look guilty over and over and over, but they didn't see what led up to the incident. And let me maybe personalize it a little bit. Can you imagine if you were at work and there were cameras on you, and they know if you did something wrong that they were instantly going to give it to the media was going to get it and run with it, and it totally would destroy your life. How are your neighbors going to look at you? How is your family going to look at you? How is anybody you run into who recognizes you're going to run into you, and you haven't even been charged with anything, or necessarily haven't been charged guilty? Hopefully I'm making a point there, that it seems so unfair to police that the video instantly goes on TV. As soon as they've done something that's controversial or, could possibly charge them, you instantly get judged. And I think they should pass legislation that there should be some hush, like some kind of order that they have some privacy over those public records, so that we're not judging people before they get their day in court. I just don't think it's fair. And the media is so goddamn blind to the whole thing. It's like they just don't care. If Channel 12 is running it, then Channel 8's going to run it, then Channel 7's going to run it, and the ABC's going to run it. And it's not their kid or their brother or their father or their relative that's being judged. It's just, some poor police officer who's trying to do his job. I think transparency can be a bad thing at some in some instances, transparency is a bad thing, because I don't think that you can ever get a fair trial if you constantly being force-fed this video that makes you look guilty over and over and over again. I just don't think there's any way that Darren Chauvin, or whatever his name is, I just don't think there's any way that those people who are on the jury could not have had an opinion before they walked in there, unless they lived in, Timbuktu or something, or, Alaska, where there's no TVs. But anyway, back to the Walmart thing. So I worked at this big store one time, and I was out front of the store doing something, and another employee came back and said that there was a lady passed out in the parking lot. So immediately, for some reason, I got the impression that it was an elderly person. I just took it for granted that like an elderly person fell down, because the way she was saying it, it was like, this lady passed out. And in my head, I'm going, oh shit, did some lady, like an 80-year-old lady fall down and maybe she's hurt? So I'm like, tell me where it is. And instead of telling me where it is, she kept just pointing. Like, she wasn't the smartest, tool in the drawer, or the sharpest tool. Anyway, she kept pointing. She's in back of the parking lot. And so I started walking back there, and I'm like, is she in this row or this row? And I was getting aggravated because she couldn't vocalize. Like, she's like in the third row over, all the way at the end. She's like, she's by the tree. So anyway, I get out there. It's a lady around her 40s. She may have not been homeless, and she may or may not have been on drugs. But I was getting aggravated because the person wouldn't tell me. She didn't want me to leave the front of the store, because I was supposed to be kind of like watching the front of the store, and she was like, you're not supposed to leave the front of the store. I'm like, and I just kept saying, will you just stop saying that? She kept saying it over and over. So I get to the lady, and the lady is sort of laying down sleeping, and I think she looked up, she opened her eyes, and I said, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm just tired. And so I just assumed that maybe she had been doing drugs, or I don't know, I thought maybe she was diabetic or something. And I asked her, are you diabetic? Do you have any health problems? She's like, no, I'm just tired. And it was the middle of the day, basically. So I made sure that she was okay, and I asked her if she needed any help or anything, and she said no. So, the person that was telling me this was, trying to think of a good way to say that. Not bright and aggravating. She was a sort of an aggravator and a shit stirrer. And on the way back, I said, couldn't you have just told me that? Couldn't you have just went up there yourself and asked the lady if she was okay? And I probably said some words that I shouldn't have. Are you stupid? Are you an idiot? Are you the dumbest person in the world? You couldn't just walk up there? Now, let's say a camera was on me at that point, and it picked up what I was doing, and that I was saying some words that I shouldn't have because I was aggravated, and they instantly put it on the news. How would that make me look, and how would that devastate my reputation as a person if they catch me on a day where I wasn't in my best light, And admittedly, maybe I shouldn't have said some of the things I said, like calling her stupid or you're a complete idiot. And I may have said some F's and some S and some MFs. But we all have those moments in life where we drop the ball and make a mistake and do something wrong. But I'm just saying, put yourself in those shoes. You're a police officer. You're doing this job because you think that you're doing good. And suddenly you screw up. And then your face the next day is on TV. Or even the same day, your face is on TV. And the other thing is when we screw up at our jobs, when I say our, I say the general population isn't usually carrying a gun. The most of us, when we go to work, we're not carrying a gun or a taser or any kind of weapons, and we're not responsible for, stopping people who are potentially dangerous. And, you're trying to do a job, and you're potentially have to use your pistol or some other, weapon. And potentially, you could make a mistake. And your mistake is really big because you accidentally shoot somebody, or you purposely shoot somebody, but they didn't have a gun, or they did have a gun. It's it's a really tough reality for these folks, and that's why my heart goes out to them, because they have one of the toughest jobs that's out there. Besides, like, I would say, besides like a nurse or a doctor, who if they make a mistake they could kill somebody. Same way. Excuse me. They have people's lives in their hands, and they're responsible for saving lives, as well as occasionally having to take somebody out because they're a threat to them or the neighbor. Somebody's trying to harm another person, and you have to protect them, or you have to do what you have to do because you're charged with that as a police officer. And I just can't imagine anything tougher than having to go to work every day. It's possible that I'm not going to come home today because somebody's going to shoot me, and I'm trained to shoot them before they shoot me, and I may have a split second to shoot. And the training that they use is called, in Sarasota, it's called shoot, don't shoot scenarios, and they work on those. I've been to the police academy several times and done the shoot, don't shoot. What do they call it? The training is like a video game where you have to judge whether a person's a threat and they have a dangerous weapon or they don't. So I think you get the point of what I'm saying. I think I'm articulating that pretty well. Is just that, we have to give these guys some leash and some room, and realize that we have never probably experienced, unless you're a former police officer or you've done that kind of job, we can't judge what they do for a living because we don't have those stresses, and we're not facing that. If you fuck up, they're going to put you on the news the next day and ruin your reputation and possibly put you in jail. I've heard this from several people. I don't know why anybody would want to be a police officer these days. Why would that make you want to train and then be a police officer if you keep seeing this persecution of police and this Black Lives Matter going after every police officer who's made a mistake, regardless if they're it's what they call a clean shoot or a justified shoot, or use of force or not. You're just going to be smeared, and they're going to have a press conference, and they're going to denounce the police, and they're going to shit all over you. And despite the fact that you may be not guilty, the stress that you have to go through, because in my heart, I believe that these guys aren't out here just waiting for somebody to go for a gun or have a reason to shoot somebody. I just don't believe that, because I've known a lot of police officers, and that's not their intention. So anyway, I needed to get that off my chest today. Food for thought. Just some thoughts that I think, and if you think I'm wrong, please comment and tell me how I'm wrong on this. Or if you think I'm right, you can chime in on that too. It's just, I just really feel a lot of empathy and a lot of sympathy for these men and women that are out here risking their lives for us. They're not out there for them. They're protecting us. And that's like the whole picture. Who do you call when something happens? You call the police, and they're supposed to be there to protect you. Serve and protect, right? Anyway, you guys know what I'm saying. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.